publishing companies, and they'd published 75 copies of this book called The Rebel Outlaw Josey Wales.
The director, who was fired mid-scene and had to watch his replacement finish shooting his own close-up. The Native American chief, who was actually a full-blooded Cherokee, essentially playing himself in Hollywood's most authentic Western.
Texas is full of rebels. Lots of work to do down in Texas.
We get Josey Wales and it ends.
And a real Confederate guerrilla's diary that provided dialogue so accurate historians couldn't believe it was fictional. These are 12 incredible facts about the outlaw Josey Wales you never knew. From Clint Eastwood's hostile takeover of his own film to the real Civil War weapons that had likely killed actual people, these behind-the-scenes stories reveal how Hollywood's last great Western was born from chaos and conflict. 1. Kaufman's live execution. Philip Kaufman was fired as director mid-scene while filming a close-up of Clint Eastwood, who then immediately took over and finished directing his own coverage. Kaufman was setting up Eastwood's reaction shot when producer Bob Daly walked onto set with legal papers. Eastwood stood up from his mark, took the camera operator's position, and said, "We'll finish this my way." Kaufman had to be escorted off by security while the crew continued the scene. He watched from outside the soundstage as Eastwood completed what Kaufman had started. The Directors Guild created new rules because of this incident, now called the Eastwood Rule, preventing actors from firing directors to take over. Kaufman successfully sued for credit and profit participation. 2. Chief Dan George's stolen Oscar. Chief Dan George lost the Best Supporting Actor Oscar in what many consider the Academy's most biased decision, with voters allegedly stating, "We can't give it to an Indian." George's performance was unanimously praised, winning the New York Film Critics Award. Academy members privately admitted he deserved it, but wouldn't vote for a Native American. The winner, Jason Robards for All the President's Men, later said George should have won. George was actually a tribal chief of the Tsleil-Waututh Nation, bringing authenticity impossible to act. He couldn't read, memorizing lines phonetically from his son's recordings. At the ceremony, John Wayne told George, "You were robbed, Chief." George replied, "Nothing new for my people." 3. Sondra Locke's career trap. Sondra Locke's casting began a 14-year relationship with Eastwood that would control and ultimately destroy her directing career through secret blacklisting. Eastwood saw her in The Heart is a Lonely Hunter and demanded she be cast despite studio objections. Their affair began immediately, though both were married. Eastwood controlled every role she took afterward. When she wanted to direct, he sabotaged her projects while pretending to support them. After their split, Eastwood secretly paid Warner Bros. To keep her on payroll, but reject all her projects. She discovered this during her fraud lawsuit. The jury awarded her undisclosed millions. Locke never made another major film. Dying convinced Eastwood deliberately destroyed her career. 4. The Real Josey's survival. The character was based on real fugitive Bill Wilson, a Confederate guerrilla who rode with Jesse James and lived to 98, dying in the 1930s Texas. Wilson never surrendered, had a bounty on his head for 50 years. He killed at least 30 Union soldiers and supporters. Unlike the film, Wilson was never pardoned, living under aliases. His grandson provided production with family documents. Wilson watched silent westerns in the 1920s, reportedly laughing at their inaccuracy. He once met an actor playing Jesse James, telling him, "You're holding that gun wrong, boy." The film's story parallels Wilson's actual escape to Texas. His real death was mundane: pneumonia in a nephew's farmhouse. 5. Wilson's bloody journal. The script incorporated actual passages from Confederate guerrilla Bill Wilson's diary, with dialogue lifted word for word from 1864 entries. Wilson's grandson secretly loaned his grandfather's journal to screenwriters. Entries like, "I reckon so," and "dying ain't much of a living" were actual quotes. Historians verified the journal's authenticity through paper analysis. Wilson described killing Union soldiers in matter-of-fact terms the film replicated. The journal contained pressed flowers from his wife's grave, mirroring the film's opening. Several speeches about government betrayal were Wilson's actual words. The family requested their connection remain secret until after the last Wilson descendant died in 2003. Eastwood kept the secret, never revealing his script's primary source. 6. The weapons that killed the production used actual Civil War weapons purchased from private collectors, many with documented battle history, including confirmed kills. Josey's pistols had belonged to a Confederate cavalry officer who died at Shiloh. The rifles were traced to specific battles through serial numbers. One weapon's provenance included 12 confirmed Union casualties. Insurance required armed guards for the weapons worth over $2 million. Several guns jammed with what appeared to be dried blood in the mechanisms. A psychic brought to set claimed she could feel the deaths on certain weapons. One pistol was discovered to have notches hidden under the grip. Eastwood insisted on using these specific weapons for spiritual authenticity. 7. Vernon's death studies. John Vernon prepared for his death scene by watching actual execution footage and studying medical files about how bodies react to fatal gunshots. He obtained Vietnam War casualty footage through a military contact. Vernon studied autopsy reports describing muscle contractions. He practiced his death fall hundreds of times on mats. Medical consultants were hired to ensure accuracy. Vernon's death twitch was based on specific neurological responses. He held his breath for 90 seconds to achieve facial discoloration. The scene required one take because Vernon burst blood vessels in his eyes. He couldn't see properly for 3 days. Vernon later said studying real death destroyed something in me permanently. 8. The toxic tobacco. Eastwood's signature tobacco spit was a mixture of licorice, molasses, and food coloring that made him violently ill, requiring hospitalization twice. The recipe was created to look authentic on camera, but was essentially sugar syrup. Eastwood swallowed significant amounts during takes. He developed severe gastric distress but kept using it. The mixture attracted wasps, causing multiple stings. It stained his teeth brown, requiring extensive dental work. Costume department had 30 identical shirts due to permanent staining. By film's end, Eastwood had consumed approximately 6 gallons. His doctor warned of potential diabetes. The formula was kept secret to prevent other actors from suffering similar effects. 9. The language revolution. The Outlaw Josey Wales became the first major Western where Native Americans spoke their actual languages with subtitles, not broken English. Comanche and Cherokee consultants translated dialogue into their languages. Native actors were allowed to adjust words for authenticity. Some elderly Native extras cried hearing their languages in a Hollywood film. The studio fought subtitles, claiming audiences wouldn't read them. Test screenings proved the opposite. Audiences felt more immersed. Several Native actors improvised additional dialogue in their languages. One scene includes a Comanche joke about Eastwood's appearance that wasn't translated. The film influenced every subsequent Western's approach to Native languages. 10. The Warner Brothers siege. Warner Bros. Attempted to shut down production after Kaufman's firing, with executives physically trying to block filming until Eastwood threatened to fund it entirely himself. Studio heads arrived on location with cease orders. Eastwood barricaded the set with Teamsters loyal to him. He wrote a personal check for $1 million to continue filming. Warner Bros. Backed down after calculating they'd lose more stopping production. Executives were banned from set. Eastwood filmed with his own money for a week during negotiations. The studio capitulated when Eastwood's previous films' grosses were reviewed. He negotiated complete creative control over all future films. Warner Bros. Never challenged Eastwood again. 11. The Comanche veterans. Real Comanche warriors played themselves, including several who were Vietnam veterans dealing with their own war trauma. The production recruited from Oklahoma reservations. 3 actors had Purple Hearts from Vietnam service. They consulted on battle tactics, noting similarities to their combat experience. One veteran said filming helped process his PTSD. They performed their own death scenes based on fallen comrades' deaths. Several refused makeup, showing their actual scars. The warriors conducted blessing ceremonies before battle scenes. They taught Eastwood Comanche fighting techniques he incorporated. One elderly warrior was the grandson of someone who fought at adobe walls. Their presence created an authenticity previous Westerns never achieved. 12. Orson Welles' ghostwriting. Orson Welles secretly rewrote several key scenes for Whiskey Money, though he demanded no credit and Eastwood never publicly acknowledged his contribution. Welles was broke, living in Las Vegas, selling rewrites for cash. He restructured the entire ferry sequence for $5,000 in bourbon. Welles' contributions included Ten Bear's surrender speech. He rewrote dialogue on cocktail napkins at Musso and Frank's. Eastwood paid him in cash, no contracts. Welles watched the film once, declaring it the Western I should have made. His fingerprints are obvious to scholars studying his style. Eastwood finally admitted Welles' involvement in 2018, saying, "Orson saved the third act." The collaboration remained secret for 40 years. Which Outlaw Josey Wales revelation shocked you most? Was it Philip Kaufman being fired mid-scene, or Orson Welles secretly rewriting dialogue for Bourbon Money? Share your favorite Josey Wales quote in the comments below. And if you want more incredible facts about Westerns that changed Hollywood forever, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Until next time, remember, dying ain't much of a living, boy. Thanks for watching.